This, we're going to address on a very deep and profound level why we have 3 matzahs at the Seder and 4 koshes and 4 cups of wine. Now, the 3 matzah, if we get to 3 matzahs, matzahs we eat because it's commanded in the Torah, eat matzah, to remember the hasty exodus from Egypt, as we are all aware. The Torah does not mention at all drinking 4 cups of wine. This was enacted by the early sages. Okay, so why did the sages enact 4 cups of wine? First, perhaps address why 3 matzahs. Why did the sages say 3 matzahs? The Torah doesn't say 3 matzahs. The Torah says eat matzah. The Torah says eat matzah. It means this, and no, precisely, that every adult male over 12 and 13 has to eat a meal of matzah. That's what it means. Our sages sat down and determined what is the volume of food. It qualifies as a meal as opposed to a snack. It's about an ounce of matzah. No 3 matzahs business. Everybody has to eat an ounce of matzah. Finished. Broken, whole. Which translates, by the way, into about 1/3 of a shmura matzah. Everybody has to eat this past nightfall when we make the bracha of the matzah without talking or interrupting, within the space of 3 minutes preferably, and the men over 13 leaning to the left. These are real critical details. That's what the Torah says. So where does the 3 matzahs come from? So the 3 matzahs, the sages said like this. We need 2 matzahs. Like every Shabbos and Yom Tov, when you make hamotzi, it's on 2 loaves, 2 bread. This is poor man's bread, but it's bread, it's lechem. You need 2 loaves. Why 2 loaves? Because they want us to remember, the sages, the manna that fell in the desert, that did not fall during the week, fell only during the week, not on Shabbos, not on Yom Tov. A double portion fell Erev, Shabbos and Yom Tov. So to remember, the manna, every Friday night and every Yom Tov, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot, so Pesach is no different. You make your blessing over the bread. You start your meal with 2 loaves. So that's why you need 2 matzahs. Now, why 3? Since we're going to say the Haggadah over a broken matzah, why? Because matzah, the Torah calls a poor man's bread, and a poor man always puts away for later. So way before we get to making the bracha, the beginning of the Seder by Magid, like Yachatz, we're going to break the middle matzah. Oh, we have to start with 3 so that we end up making the bracha. We're going to have 2 whole ones and the broken one. So by default, we have to have 3. So just taking you through the evolution. Good. The essence is eating a kazayis, the volume of an olive, an ounce, and then the 3, good. The sages, the reason we told you. Why the 4 cups of wine? It's not even in the Torah altogether. So the Yerushalmi, this of the Jerusalem Talmud, I sent you the text. The Jerusalem Talmud says, did I send it to you? Yeah, where is it? Read this. Hello. Oh. You click on it? No, I didn't. I did, the document. So if you look over there, it's from the book, from the Chumash from Va'era, and Hashem is talking to Moishe Rabbi. The people are groaning under the yoke of slavery. And Hashem says, tell the Yidden we're going out of Mitzrayim. And Hashem uses 4 expressions. Underlined, V'tzeisi, v'tzalti, v'galti, v'lakachti. Tell them I'll bring you out, I'll save you, I'll redeem you, and I'll take you to me as a people. 4 expressions. So the sages said these are very important 4 expressions. We want them to be remembered to the Seder. That's why they were Masak. They enacted 4 cups of wine. That's what the Jerusalem Talmud says. So the question on that is, this is a question raised by a famous early halachic authority called the Mordechai. That's how he's known. Him is Mordechai. He's printed in the back of every standard Gemara. He's one of the early codifiers. He says, this is not the main reason. Not the main reason. It cannot be. And I'll soon tell you what he says are the main reasons. It can't be the main reason because it's a very subtle question. In Yiddishkeit, everything is precise in Torah to the nth degree. If something can be said in 3 words, it's not said in 2 words. If you want to get a message across through 1 act, you don't do 2. Everything remains very precise. You don't add things just for hyperbole and drama. And therefore, the Mordechai says, if the whole reason for the 4 cups of wine are these 4 expressions, there's a much less invasive or not invasive, but a less dramatic way of achieving that goal. Why are they introducing a whole new 4 cups of wine thing? What should they have done? 3 matzahs, we said, because you have to end off with 2. You know what? 4 matzahs. There's 4 matzahs at the Seder, but he says, why the 4 matzahs? Oh, 4 expressions. You've covered everything. You've achieved the 4 expressions without adding a whole new enactment. What gave them the authority, as it were, to add a whole new enactment when if just to achieve this, you'll do so with less than more. So if you can do it with less, you don't do it with more. So that's why he says, no, that's not the main reason. If you look in the Medrash says, there's a few answers. I'll just give you one. Throughout the entire Tanakh, 4 times it talks about a cup of salvation. Tonight's salvation. And the Torah says, one of them we quote every Havdalah, Kois Yeshuas Esa. And we say it in Hallel. A cup of salvation I lift up. So since tonight's God saved us, and we find that salvation is associated with a cup, that's why 4 cups of wine. That makes sense. 4 cups of wine. So this reason of the 4 reasons is secondary, not the primary reason. Because if it was the primary reason, they would simply have enacted 4 matzahs and achieved the goal. Why 4? 4 expressions. But we are now going to explain the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says this is the main reason. How do these words say after 4 cups of wine? And then Bem says a bigger question. Why did the Chachamim feel it's so important that you have to remember these 4 expressions? The whole book of Exodus is full of expressions, a whole narrative of redemption. Punkt. This pasuk here in Parshas Va'era, these 2 psukim, 4 expressions. This is so important. We have to remember forever. We're going to institutionalize it at the Seder. What's the Gewalt? Why is it so important? It's very nice, but what's there? So, answer to all the above is like this. I'm going to give you the answer already at the end, and then we're going to fill it in. And now we'll understand with this, why this way, a whole lot of things which are strange now become clear. So we're going to go to the end point. The end point is this. Tonight we're celebrating freedom. That's Yetzias Mitzrayim. We were slaves in Egypt. Hashem took us out with wonders and miracles. So the Chachamim said like this, we want you to remember something, Kinderlach. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We want you to remember something. This is only the beginning of the story. This is not about we're no longer slaves to Paro. It's a step. What's this all about? This is a step to get to Sinai, receive the Torah, and enter into a relationship with God and become his servants, which is true freedom. Please bear this in mind tonight, because it's possible the whole focus is going to be we're no longer slaves to Paro, free, do whatever we want. That would be a terrible conclusion. It's we're leaving the servitude of the Yetzer Hara of Paro, and we're going to move towards, Shavuos is really the culmination in many ways of Pesach, and so it's connected by the 49-day count. It's all in order to get to Sinai. These 4 expressions, looking at it again now, right now, and they're in 2 psukim, you'll notice. One pasuk has 3, and then the next pasuk has the 4th. I will save you, I will take you out, save you, redeem you. And the next pasuk, I will take you to me as a people. That's referring to Har Sinai. I'll take you to me as a people. That's Har Sinai. The sages wanted us to be cognizant tonight of where this is all going, and that is to receive the Torah and be Hashem's servant, or if you like, spouse. Because yes, spouse means I'm dedicated to serve my spouse's needs. That's my greatest and only goal. And that's what the Chachamim wanted us. It's not obvious, because tonight's about leaving Egypt, us to know where this is all going. That's to be pointed out that elsewhere in the Torah, where it speaks about marriage, it uses the word kicha, ki yikach ish isha. A man will take it, not by force. Take means she's allowing her. But it's to be noted that the same word here, I will take of me as a people, is the same word that the Torah uses to describe marriage, because that's what this is. So what we're going to explain is, if we're going to be cognizant that tonight is a stepping stone, it's a first stage in leading to Sinai, the symbol cannot be matzah. The symbol has to be wine, which we're going to begin our journey now to explain. Let's appreciate that matzah describes very accurately and aptly the state of the Jew at the time of Egypt. What's matzah? It is the simplest of foods, flour and water. It cannot be embellished with any spices or taste that would render your matzah invalid. It must be simple, tasteless as it could possibly be. And it's made quickly. The whole point of the matzah is it's made quickly, the dough shouldn't rise, and it represents the hasty flight from Egypt. The Jews then were spiritually a state of matzah. As you all know, 80% of the Jews refused to go out of Mitzrayim, and we cannot blame them. For a year, the slavery was over, because each plague lasted virtually almost a month. There was a month, actually, 3 weeks of warning and 1 week of plague. At this point, after the 10th plague, the Egyptians were our best friends. Life was good. For a year already, 10 months at least, no slavery. Life is good. And then they're being told to go into a desert to get what again? How many commandments was that? No, thank you. 80% said we're not going, and they didn't and disappeared. The 20% that went, they were on the brink of saying no. As you know, they're on the 50th level of impurity, which is the point of no return. So they were whisked out of Mitzrayim. They were whisked out because had they delayed a moment longer, they would have said, we're not going. So what's their matzah? Matzah. Matzah means they had no taste, there's no feeling for this. Matzah is called bread of faith. They just barely hung on to their faith in Moishe Rabbeinu and God and said, okay, we'll go with you, but their minds and hearts and their feelings were not engaged. They were resisting it. And had to be quick. Matzah is made quickly, because had they delayed a moment longer, they would have said no. That's what Dr. explains in Tanya, like this whole reason of running out and like thieves in the night, it wasn't necessary. Pari was powerless. And my son yesterday, Tzemach, said a very good insight. It bothers a famous question. The Yidden were told to borrow gold and silver from the Egyptians. Well, look, who are we fooling here? Why would they told take it? We're leaving. They worked. Huh? And they earned it. And the Egyptians were powerless. Take, go. They were crushed. Why did the seat like we're escaping? So Tzemach said a beautiful thing yesterday. It was even for the Jews themselves. We're borrowing. If it doesn't work, we'll come back. If they'd be told we're leaving and never to come back, that would have like pushed them over the edge where we ain't going. They needed an escape. You're borrowing. You may bring it back. You may not bring it back. Take it. It just was an opening for them psychologically. We're not going out to a desert and the door locks behind us and we can never go back. You could come back. That's how fragile they were. And matzah is fragile. It's brittle. They were brittle, fragile. Another like imagery, tasteless and dry. It was a dry relationship with God. It was like, okay, we're going, and a minute later, okay, we're not going. So that's how it began. But then immediately after going out of Mitzrayim began the process of self-refinement and realization of where were we, slaves, and breaking out of that mentality and then reaching Sinai. Sinai is a marriage. Sinai is a marriage. Now, marriage cannot be dry and tasteless. You can't go into marriage unfaithful. All right. It's not all right. You have to meet the girl. You have to like the girl and be committed to get to know her and appreciate her and experience each other and share each other. Wine is the opposite of matzah in every way. A virtue in matzah is something deficient in wine. You want matzah made very quickly. You want wine to be made over the longest time, 18 months in the barrel minimum. Matzah you want tasteless. Wine you're looking for notes of licorice and of chocolate and of tobacco. I love the tobacco one. Tobacco and who knows what. Whatever is required here is something you don't want there. It's the opposite. Because that's indeed a marriage. A marriage is you're there because you desire. It's about desire. I want you. And I want to grow with you. And like good wine, steep and grow together, become more intoxicating. The relationship should be over time more and more intoxicating. And more, obviously, it doesn't go smoothly. It's ups and downs and bad. But that's the direction. So therefore, we answer your question. Since the Chachamim wanted what? That tonight we should know just the beginning of the story. This has to lead to Sinai. And what Sinai is, you're there because you want to be. The symbol's got to be wine. It can't be matzah. To rephrase that, Pesach is God choosing us, but that's got to lead to us choosing God from within. That's the wine, that's the matzah. So now let's go a little bit further, a little bit deeper, more detail. So now we understand that the focus is the fourth expression, v'lakachti. So now we're going to address the following question. This is so important. Why doesn't the Torah mandate wine? The sages do that. Why is it their prerogative? Why is it their contribution? Look at the next quote. The next quote, underlined, the middle pasuk, Shema b'ni, it's in translation there. Listen, my son, underlined, Musar avicha, the discipline of your father, and do not forsake the instructions of your mother. Now, she's talking about the Torah. So why are these two metaphors of father and mother? Just one or neither. So Rashi explains. Because Torah has two dimensions. Look at Rashi, with its translation underlined. What is meant by the Musar Avicha? It is what the Holy One, blessed be He, gave Moses in writing and orally. Like oral instructions, like tefillin means, what shchita means. That was just given over orally. What's your mother? Meaning, look at the next column. These are the words of the scribes which they innovated and added and made safeguards for the Torah. Now that's just like father and mother. The father gives the seed, but who develops it? The mother. So the written law is called father, and the oral law, Torah Sheba'al Peh, the sages, is mother. Now we understand. The written law describes what God does. And written law, Hashem mandates at the Seder night what He did, took us out of Mitzrayim, and therefore the Torah mandates only matzah. But it is the role of the oral law, which is the mother, the recipient, which focuses on us, the receiver, our contribution, which is going to end up culminating at Sinai. So therefore, it's Dafka, the sages, that bring it out, because that's what their role is. They are the mother, the recipient. And together creates the totality of Torah, the written law, the oral law, the mashpia, the giver, the makabel, father and mother. So therefore, the sages that mandate as part of Torah in the big picture, but the feminine dimension, the recipient, the receiver, they mandate the development. She takes the seed and she develops into this complex, incredible child with all of these levels. Therefore, they're the ones that add the union of wine. And now the question is like this. Everything in Torah is precise. Why is it that there are three expressions of God's doing? And the fourth one focuses on our response, the marriage, the wine. And so look at the bottom. Gimel Dalet. What does Gimel Dalet mean? Gimel means, it actually means something. Aleph means aloof. Base means a house, bias. Aleph means to teach or aloof, teacher, master. In the Israeli army, a general is an aloof. An aleph, that's what he's called. Beis means a house. Gimel means to bestow, as in Gimel is chasodim. Dalet means poor, dal. Gimel Dalet means to bestow to the poor. And so every letter in the Hebrew alphabet, aleph base, is actually a word. It's actually, each letter is three letters. Aleph is about aleph, lamed, pei, and so on. So Gimel means to bestow, and Dal means to receive. So that's the point here. God is the bestower, the masculine. We are the receiver, the feminine. Therefore, the bestowal is 3, and the receiver is 4, because Gimel is 1, 2, 3, and Dalet is 4. Clear? Now the next question is, all right, it's very nice that Gimel means 3 and Dalet means 4, but what about the number? Why is bestowal 3? The model is 3, and the receiver is 4. Answer: every act of bestowal has to have 3 parts. If I want to give you my watch, I have to have the watch. I have to stretch out my hand to you and then deposit it. 1, 2, 3. What's 4? Your hand that receives it. That makes now the whole relationship. Well, let's say teacher. Teacher wants to give over a deep idea or an idea. First, he has to have the idea in his head. Then he's got to formulate. How is he going to bring it down to the world of the student? And then say it. Again, 1, 2, 3. So every act of hashpa'ah, of giving from above to a receiver, has to go through 3 stages. That's why Gimel means bestow, and it also means 3. And Dalet, which is 4, is the mind or the hand of the recipient. So that's why there are 3 expressions of I will take you out, I'll save you, I'll redeem you. And the 4th one is we're going to be one as a people focusing on your response. That's the 4th row. But now a little nagging question. If the first 3 are God's doing, we're having 4 cups of wine. Not like 1 cup that says the 4th expression. No, it's 4 cups. But the first 3 is all God's doing. The answer is that even as God was taking us out of Egypt and we were kicking and screaming, deep down we wanted. We always wanted. It just has to come out. And it comes out in the 4th cup. But the wine component that we really want to be in a relationship with God, and that's all we really want in the depth of us, is there all along latent. It just comes out at the end. It's always been reciprocal. Even like a child like resists being disciplined. A surface. And Pesach is our birth, right? Kicking and screaming. You got to be dragged to school and told. But deep down, a child wants the order and the discipline. He just says, hey, studies show a child is brought up in a home where laissez-faire, do anything you want, go to sleep when you want, eat what you want. It's a miserable child with all kinds of neurosis. A child feels safe and deep down wants the rules and the structure that parents give, even though on the surface they resist it. So that's, the wine is there all along. I really want this. It's a process of maturation and time before it's going to come out. So now finally we'll also have an understanding quickly why we have, the kids say this at the Seder, why 3 matzahs, 3 fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, why 4 cups of wine? The 4 mothers, it's consistent. Because father is bestower, that's why there are 3 fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Mother is the receiver, the bestower, one with the receiver. Therefore, there are 4 mothers, and therefore that also represents the Dalet Kois is the 4 mothers. So, in summary, the symbol of a guy is matzah. Quick, chick, chuck, chuck, and dry. Next, the symbol of the woman is wine. Textured and layered and takes time and there's nuance, etc. And the ultimate is, of course, the fusion of the 2. Okay, friends, you got a general overview and you share this as much as you can of your Seder, that'd be wonderful.